Welcome back to the InfoWars Nightly News. I'm your host, Rob Dew. Our next guest is an author, economist. He's been in several of Alex's movies, and he's also a former city councilman of Austin, Texas. It's George Humphrey. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So right now, you're traveling kind of back and forth between the mainland here and in Thailand, and you're actually there before the coup d'etat took place.
Yeah, I've been watching what's... It's fun to be able to talk about this because so few people understand what's going on. And clearly, Thailand is a relatively smaller country halfway around the world. But Thailand is the only country in Southeast Asia that has never been under imperialistic rule.
I mean, it's not ruled by the globalists.
Yeah, but it's never. Yeah. It was never like India was controlled, and China, and Vietnam, and Indonesia. And the movie The King and I was all about how the Chandra kept the English out. And so the people of Thailand have a real sense of real independence, and they're very proud of their country.
Yeah.
They're very proud of that, which is, I think, is a great thing. Just like I'm very proud of being here in the United States, of the good parts of it. I've been going there for years and years and years. And the reason I keep going back there is because I love it. You know, the cost of living is about half of what it is here. They've got clean food without any GMOs or very few GMOs. Is that they've got great beaches, they've got great jungles. The people are Buddhist, and so they're more chilled out. And it's a fun place, and there's a lot of expatriates there who know about Alex Jones, and we have these conversations every day.
And there's still technology there. It's not like
they're smart. They're smart people. Yeah. But Thailand's gotten a lot of bad press lately, and about 10 years ago, a guy called Thaksin became the prime minister. And,
what a name!
And yeah, Thaksin. and his big claim to fame was that he's good friends with the Bushes and the Carlyle Group. And guess what happened after Thaksin got in, and he started giving all this money to the rice farmer, the poor rice farmers, and of course they're going to take it. So he's basically buying off the votes. And as he was buying off the votes, he was robbing the country. And so he got caught with his, arm in the cookie jar. They threw him out of the country, but because he had the votes, he got his daughter to run, and she became the next prime minister. Her name was Yingluck. She was a real pretty gal, but she didn't know from Shinola. And so she was doing the same things, robbing the country. And the people...
As she was trained to do.
As she was trained to do. Yeah, she's pretty face, though. And anyway, so the king, who is a very good guy, he's not perfect, but the king, who is he's a good guy. There are all these demonstrations. There are the yellow shirts who are for the more establishment and the king, and then there was the red shirts who are the rice farmers. But the red shirts were basically very, very poor people who had been getting all these handouts, and they were like any group of people who were in ignorance and given wrong information, and they went back and forth for a couple of years, and it was a little bit pull and tug, but there was not much. Maybe 10 or 15 people in the years got killed. But in the United States, that would have happened every day. The people of Thailand are great people. And so finally, the king ordered a coup d'etat, so the army took over, got the old government out. They're settling everything down, and everything is just fine in Thailand right now. The biggest thing in Thailand right now is the devil in the deep blue sea. You've got China to the north, who is the big golden dragon wanting to come down and take over Southeast Asia. And then you've got Uncle Sam in the United States, who wants to keep Thailand as supporters. And it's a tough choice for the people of Thailand. And most of the people of Thailand want to stay independent.
Establish their own destiny.
Yes.
Essentially, and not be told what to do from what you've had since the 50s in Vietnam. You had the French going in there, and then we took over from them, and it's just been a continuous cycle. Plus, all the other countries that are there, Cambodia, even parts of Hong Kong was colonized.
All those areas. Where I live in Thailand is not that far from a place called Dien Bien Phu, which was the biggest battle of Southeast Asia between the French and Ho Chi Minh. And and the French thought that if they went off into this far wilderness and lured Ho Chi Minh in because of their technology, they could defeat Ho Chi Minh. But I'll tell you what, is that the numbers and the people of Southeast Asia, they're much stronger than we give them credit for. But anyway, the bottom line is, it's a beautiful place to be, and as with most stories in the predominant press, you got to read both sides of it. And a lot of people think things are terrible in Southeast Asia or in Thailand right now, and I would respectfully disagree, is that they have a good economy, the people work, there's a lot less welfare. They don't even have 47 million people in their country. We've got 47 million people in our own country on welfare. The people in Thailand work. They have respect for their king, and who is a good king. They have respect for what some people call democracy. Even though I don't believe in democracy, I believe in a constitutional republic. But again, the main point is that we have to, whenever we hear these stories, we need to listen to both sides. Just like in the Ukraine, we need to listen to the Russian side, and we need to listen to the Ukrainian side and the Western European side. And as you said earlier on, the truth is somewhere right in between.
Each side's got elements of the truth in it.
Exactly.
And by looking at it, when you don't have a dog in the fight, it's easier to look at it more objectively than other people would. I mean, you live there. But you're not necessarily involved in the government either.
No.
Way. So you're looking at it you love the country.
As they say, Pom Chop Thai Mak Mak Mak. And it says, I love Thailand very much.
Yeah.
And so, but we as Americans, we are fed nonstop, 24/7 false information. It's just amazing what lies the predominant media. It is not just ABC, CBS, and NBC. It is 99% of all the channels on cable. And I'm a sports fan, and I love sports. But as we all know, sports is the opiate of the masses. You get people watching television all weekend long. First it's the Spurs versus the Heat, and then it's this, and then it's
and you got a golf tournament and tennis, and there's always something you could turn on, and they like it like that.
And I love sports. I watched Nadal win yesterday, and I was rooting for him. But I realize that they're getting us, and when you watch TV, your energy level goes down. It goes down, down, down. It's so much better to be outside, working in your garden.
Playing sports. Getting
out there and shooting some hoops, going swimming, taking a walk, playing golf, doing whatever, and getting some fresh air. And folks, if you're watching this show, 99% of you are already hip about all this stuff. Yeah. But we can always get hipper, and there's more and more and more information. But as I've talked with Alex just recently, the important thing is each one of us are an important part of this puzzle, of this matrix. And this is a big matrix. This is a big holograph that we're dealing in. And first of all, realizing that we're in this illusion, this Maya, this created reality. And that is a real shocker. That when you become aware of that, that's the choice between the blue pill is holding on to the old paradigm. Just believing and it's easy to do. It's so easy to believe.
And they'll make it fun.
Want.
They make it fun to do that too.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, you keep turning into sports, keep watching the news.
Hey, that Starbucks is really tasty.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, and you know what? My new SUV, I've got all the Gizmos, and I went to the X Games this week.
Right.
And and I've got and all this stuff. And it's not that we say you don't enjoy this world, because I really believe in enjoying this life. And, life, love, and joy. So enjoy the life, but realize is that our they're not my slave master, but the slave masters, the Illuminati, the plutocracy, the cabal, whatever you want to call this group of people or families that control the economic, political, cultural, and ecclesiastic institutions, is that they're not on our side.
No.
Is that they
like the illusion.
It's all about power.
Yeah.
Friends, why do you think there are so many vampire movies? Why do you think there are so many vampire movies? Because it's the perfect analogy. The blood is the life force and the chi. And these rascals, it's for them, it's all about power. And what we're talking about is relatively a small handful of people, less than 300, and in the inner circle, it's probably less than 15, that make the decisions about which economy is going to prosper, which economy is going to get hit on,
who's going to war,
who's going to get the oil, what they're going to say, all of this stuff. And friends, as you know, Rob, and as Alex knows, this thing is so much bigger. It's so much wilder than anybody has any idea about. And that movie, The Hunger Games, is so cool. And if you've seen it, they put all these kids in this thing and they put them under a dome and they create all these situations. And our life in some ways is like that. And it doesn't appear like there's a dome. It doesn't appear like that. But do you remember that movie called The Matrix?
Oh, yeah.
Well, do you remember when Neo was talking to the game master and they were in that room with all the TV sets? And the guy says, "You've been here 81 times before."
Yeah.
And he goes, "What?" He says, "And you still haven't figured it out." And so...
And it wasn't Neo, it was the spirit of Neo that had been
exactly
there, inhabiting another body coming in.
And I know I don't have all the answers, and I could be full of hot air or balloon, but I believe this with all my heart. And I believe in life is eternal, and I believe that we have lessons to learn, and I think that we as human beings are truly sovereign, and even more importantly, that we have a divine spirit, and that our mission, if we choose to accept it, is to become aware of who we really are, of our connection with our family, our connection with our friends, with our community, and our connections even with the earth and the planets and the animals, and to realize this is a great joyride. There is no game that's more fun than becoming aware of who we are. And the first thing, though, is to break off these shackles that have been put on us. Just like when Neo woke up, he pulled the plug. He pulled the plug.
Yeah.
And friends, guess what? You too, right now, if you've got it, and we all have some plugs in us that we don't know about. And I'm not saying I pulled all the plugs, because, I do stuff that's stupid all the time. But if we just pull one plug today, and then if we talk to our friends about it, and you know what? The numbers of people, just for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And for every Oklahoma City, for every Waco, for every TW Flight 800, for every 9/11, for all of these situations that create fear, there is a reverse situation where more and more people are waking up.
Right.
Just think how much more you know today than you did 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I look at what I'm aware of today, and even though I had so much stuff in my head 10 years ago, I think that I am happier and more joyful and more alive today. Because the first thing is to gather the objective information, and getting objective information is not easy. But then realizing that we have a choice. We don't have to go down. We don't, friends, and this is, I'll be a little bit serious right now. If our culture continues going down this road of corporate fascism, and this country right now is corporate fascist. We're no longer under, for me, we're under a republic, but most of the people are controlled by the corporate fascists.
Our leaders are chosen.
And our leaders are chosen, and the glove wears a velvet glove. And it's just a matter of time before these son of a guns take the velvet glove off and hit down. Now, if that happens, and I don't want it to happen, and I think that we can stop this, but it's not going to be pleasant. And we've all seen all these sci-fi movies about the future where 99% of the people are in total poverty and controlled by the machines, la, 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 la.
You got the enforcer class, you got the peasants, and then you got the kings up top.
And why do you think that they're making all these movies?
Well, because they see us as zombies.
Exactly.
They see us as the ones to be exterminated.
And they're programming all of this into our subconscious, not our conscious, and not even our subconscious, but into our unconsciousness. Because the 4 laws of the universe are this: the law of attraction, the law of conscious manifestation, the law of allowance, and the law of balance and harmony. But they know that if they focus deeply, deeply, deeply on putting this stuff into our reptilian brains, deep, 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 all these fear-based movies, and 60% of the movies that are out are incredibly fear-based. Now, a lot of them are pretty interesting, and I go see it's not that I'm such a pure person that I don't go see it, because a lot of these movies are interesting, but they're doing it for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just to make money, it's to program us. Now, that sounds pretty wild to a lot of people, but I believe it's true. But we got to realize that life is a challenge, and we got to meet it. I mean, nobody's going to come riding up on their white horse. Nobody from the planet Sirius is going to come down in their flying saucer and say, "Oh, we're going to take care of everything."
No, that's not going to happen.
And you know what? I believe in UFOs, and I believe in people from Sirius, but it's not. We as human beings, if we're going to evolve, we have to take personal responsibility.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Personal responsibility. And that starts with each of us, no matter how much money you've got, no matter what color your skin is, male or female, young or old, da la la la, whether you've got a junior high education or a triple PhD, and probably you're a lot smarter if you've got a junior high education.
Yeah, you haven't been in conditioning.
You haven't been to conditioning school. Yeah. But you know what? Is that more and more and more and more people every single day are waking up to this stuff. The new paradigm is happening because just as we're moving toward this corporate fascist takeover, which is already here, is that there's an equal and opposite reaction of people like you. I come down to the studio, and there's all these people down here
new faces
who are wide awake, alive and awake and aware. See, most people are asleep, and then the next thing is to become awake,
right?
And then become aware, and then become alive.
Well, and it's like detoxing too. When you detox from the system, it's not pretty the whole time. I mean, it's like Neo when he unplugs himself. They flush him down the system. You are no longer you're no longer held up as you're a special person.
You're not a human resource any longer.
Right. They flush you down the system. It takes a lot that way. You have to realize, like, well, what do I do now? Like, oh wow, there's different ways to live life. There's not just a 9-to-5 job working for a giant corporation.
Yes.
There's I could work for myself. I could get together with like-minded people and start something. Start my own media crew. You do it.
It is essential that we create our own reality. The second law is the law of conscious manifestation. And this is very, very real. We create what we think about. We create what we think about. And have you ever known, I mean, when you talk to somebody, you can within 5 minutes, I can tell where somebody's coming from by listening to their language patterns. People who say, "Oh, I'm going to try and do this," "Oh, I'm going to," the people who are, I hate, the Walmart crowd are a bunch of victims. And I am very, 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 very aware that victim mentality is a death mentality. And the Walmart mentality is a death reality. It's the people are overweight, and God love them. It's not that they're bad human beings. They're experiencing life in the way that they have to, but it's not for me.
Right.
I am not a human resource. I am not a part of this corporate, creation. I am not a part of this Democratic Republican silliness that goes on between the Bushes and the Clintons and and Obama. And as 99% of you who are watching this, you know whether it's Bush or Clinton or Obama or whoever, they're all puppets.
It doesn't matter.
They're all puppets, and they're all relatively low-level puppets. Brother Obama, you know, I made a movie with Alex called The Obama Deception, and then another one called The Fall of the Republic.
Right.
And this was before the election.
Right.
And we said Obama's going to do this and this and this and this. Well, in fact, he's done this and this and this and this. And we knew it was going to happen. And, you know, is the guy a good speaker? Yeah, I'd like to sit and talk. You know, it's just like Clinton. He's probably a pretty good guy to have a beer with.
Right.
You know, but they're all pre-programmed. They're all controlled. And friends, that's why InfoWars is so important. What you're doing right now, this is, even though a lot of people get on Alex's case and InfoWars case, they say, oh, it's just bad news, it's fear-based. Well, not really, because the first thing to do is to be awake to the, you know, being in this human body. The first thing is we got to take care, we got to survive, we got to live. And you know what? These son of a guns,
they make it very hard just to get clean water, clean food. It's a task.
And this
you have to really know what you're looking for.
This is just the start of it. They care not an iota about our happiness, our survivability, and they will, just like when they dropped the bomb on here, all they would have had to have done was drop a bomb off of out in the ocean so that the Chinese emperor could have seen we had the atomic bomb. But instead, we blew away Hiroshima and then Nagasaki, totally defenseless. Just like we firebombed
fishing villages.
Just like we firebombed Dresden. And not that just we did it, but you know, the Germans did it to other people and the Japanese did, you know. We human beings, if we are given the wrong information, can rationalize the wipeout of huge numbers. And what's happened is because we are so detached from nature and from God, what we call God or the grand creator or whatever you want to call this, about goodness and ethics, we can rationalize almost anything. And together with the fact that these people, all they're concerned about, they're true psychic vampires. All they want is power. They don't care whether there's 8 billion or 100 or 50,000 people, as long as they're in control of this planet. And you know, you can go back in history and look at every civilization, and every civilization has been built up, and then it creates dictators or crazy people who will wipe out their own people.
It's top heavy and it falls in on it.
Just like they say, if you don't learn from history, you're bound to repeat it. And friends, if we repeat the pattern of history with the increase of technology, which is increasing exponentially, friends, we do not want to go down that road. We do not want that. You've got a beautiful life. Alex has got beautiful children. I've got beautiful children. Most of the people listening here. But it's not just about the children or the grandchildren. It's about us. I like this life. I like being on planet Earth. I love my friends. I like going to Barton Springs. I like going into the Rocky Mountains. I love going to the Himalayas. I love just being in Kansas. I like being in body. And I like, you know, and I am willing to stand up for freedom. Freedom is so important, but with freedom comes something that's very important. You know what that is?
Responsibility.
Responsibility.
Yeah. People don't like to have responsibility a lot of times.
That's the big thing. Everybody says, give me. I want freedom. Well, but there's responsibility.
And that's part of the programming aspect. That's, you know, when you look at TV, what do they call it? They call it a program.
Yes.
It's not called a show. Very few people call it. I like to call this a show because we're showing you information. We're not trying to program you in a certain way. We're trying to deprogram, I think, a lot of people. But programming is what they do. It's a program. It's got lines of instructions that are designed to get a desired effect.
Exactly. And as I have said, I have probably done, I don't know how many TV and radio shows. And I'll say it, just don't believe a word I'm saying.
Yeah, go find out for
yourself. Don't believe a word I'm saying. But check it out for yourself. Listen, use discernment. We all know, every single one of us knows in our heart, if we're quiet, we all know what the truth is. And you know, it's like I know that there's things that I say that are not factually 100% correct. I believe them at the time I'm saying it, but I know I make mistakes. And when I was doing my show, I said, if there's anything I'm saying, just tell me. And it's not a debate. I just want to show and express with you so that each person can make a choice. And this time, right now, is the greatest time of choice ever in the history of mankind, because it is the metaphysics of this solar system are changing. And it's not just because of politics and economics and things like that, because we as human beings are going from a consciousness of Newtonian physics, which is parts and separation, and of politics, to quantum. And you know, the biggest way to understand quantum is everything is light and vibration. Just like at the start in Genesis, it says, in the beginning was the Word. Well, actually it says, in the beginning was the vibration and the light, and you know, it's all vibration and consciousness.
Words are vibration.
Everything is vibration. This table right here, even though it's very solid to the touch and it makes a sound, this is all made of light vibration and molecules. And if you change the vibration, suddenly from going to a wood table, it could become a plastic table. Or I've changed the vibration and I could have a pink shirt on, or what, you know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
But by being aware that everything is light and light attracts other light, and realizing that our solar system, and this is not some theory, this is absolute proof, is that we're getting, in the last 15 or 20 years, we're getting more and more and more electromagnetic frequency into our solar system, plus radiation and debris. But just like, what was that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio where all the buildings were falling down?
Inception.
Yeah. Well, it's all a dream. In that thing, in their dreams, all the old institutions were falling down because the dream was changing. And because we're getting more electromagnetic frequency, is that the vibration of the subatomic particles is changing. And so we have the choice, depending on how we use our consciousness, of how we use those changes. Now, this stuff sounds pretty wild at start, but I know you know this. And we
felt it.
Yeah, we feel it.
Yeah.
And as you go down this rabbit hole, at first you talk about the Federal Reserve System and how corrupt it is, and then you learn that the Republicans and Democrats are liars, and then you learn that the media and the history and the schools, they're telling us lies, and then you go down and down, and then you start realizing, man, it's all
built on
baloney.
lies, yeah,
but then you go deeper and you realize that this is an illusion, and then you go into the science of this, and you realize that each of us are independent. And if we understand that the science is there and that the opportunity for incredible change is here with us right now, is that we can turn this planet from a holographic reality into an organic life. And I'm sure you saw the movie Avatar, right?
Oh, yeah.
The classic analogy between the old paradigm of the corporate wanting to mine and kill and destroy anybody who got in his way for dough. And I love money. I go after money but not at the expense of other people. As opposed to a native population who's in connection with the earth. And I've seen the movie 15 times, and I'm sure you've seen it many times too. And it is such a great analogy between the levels of consciousness, because the guys who are on the planet digging away, they thought they were doing the right thing. Those people out there, they're green and they're terrible.
Got unobtainium to get.
We got to make some money here. Yeah. And in their minds, they were doing the right thing, and the people out there, they were the bad. But if we step back and realize we're here not just to make money, we're here to enjoy life, is to be on our planet, is to grow, is to connect. And one of the greatest ways of growing in happiness is to be aware of our connection with the Divine Mother, with the earth, with the cosmos, whatever one wants to call God. Or the divine, and without going into all that. But it's so much more fun.
Yeah.
It's so much more fun. It's so much more fun than just, grinding away and saying, oh, I'm going to vote for this party as opposed to this party, and they're bad, and these people are evil, and these
spending energy doing that, propping up that paradigm.
Yeah, and you know what? And all these people who are quote slave masters, they're actually doing us a service, because they're creating a polarity for us to play the game,
to repel off of.
To see. And so the people like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers or the Morgans, not more power to them, but God, love them, because they're going to wake up too. The only one I have
it might be the last second before they fall off.
The only person I have real trouble with is Dick Cheney.
Yeah. Well, he's got a fake heart at this point. He's bionic. He's working
Dick,
his way to cyborg.
And you're a pretty wild guy too. So he's a great opponent. He's
not a good shot though.
He's a terrible shot.
He's trying to
I know the guy he shot.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I guess he was giving him bad advice at the time.
And who was the boy who gave George Bush all of his political information, the brains behind George Bush, who did all the political analysis?
Oh, God.
Starts with an R. You know who I'm talking about. Yeah. He comes into my coffee shop all the time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I just look at him, I just smile, and I say, I love you, brother.
Oh, wow.
And he knows I'm looking at him. And
it's not Turd Blossom, is it?
No, it's not Turd Blossom, but
Yeah, no, he lurks around Austin every once in a while.
And it's like, these people, they really believe this stuff, and they get off to it.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? Stay away from
psychic vampire. They're literally stealing your energy. And we just had a series of articles come out where they were saying you take younger blood and it can regenerate you. They're doing tests.
It's called stem cells.
Yeah, well, no, they're doing it with blood. They're taking blood and transfusing it with rats. They're taking young rats with old rats and doing blood transfusions, and the old rats become younger. They're able to remember things.
Absolutely.
And so the whole science, you go back to Dracula drinking blood, and what they say the royals do nowadays is drinking young babies' blood. Well, now there's a science behind it that, it does work, at least to them. But what kind of world are you creating when you do that?
Friends, what he's talking about sounds really, really wild.
Go check it out yourself.
But if you know anything about the word Merovingian was was a word which was supposed to be the family of the children of Jesus and Mary Magdalene.
Right.
And the original Merovingian lived in Lourdes, France, and even the Catholic Church recognized that the one they called Jesus, and of course his name was not Jesus, it was Yeshua ben Joseph. It always blows me away that all these churches call him by Jesus, which is a Greek name. I love the one called Jesus. The one called Yeshua ben Joseph was so cool. And I know that he had 2 children with Mary Magdalene, maybe 3 children, and that was the start of the Merovingian. And they were a very pure race. And Dan Brown has written about this and many, many others. But that's why the noble families of Europe pay so much attention to the bloodlines.
Yeah.
But then as time went by, then that all became weird, and some of those Merovingians became the black nobility, and they started doing weird stuff like you're talking about.
Bathing in blood, drinking blood.
God,
and it's always young people and babies is what they go after.
Yeah.
Young women, virgins. I mean, and
without going too deep, because this stuff can be pretty weird, but friends, when you go down the rabbit hole, anything you can think about has happened. But the most important thing is to be aware of it,
right,
and then to have a much more beautiful life. Because if you do believe in the Creator, life is eternal. There is ultimate prosperity. There is ultimate life. There is ultimate joy. There is ultimate and infinite life and love and joy for all of us, as long as we play by the rules, as long as we have love in our hearts, as long as we take care of ourselves and have responsibility. And it's much more fun to go down that road than the road is that 99% of the people in America are going down.
And a lot of it really is flipping the switch from saying the glass is half empty to saying it's half full.
Yes.
That's a lot of it. You just switch. Sometimes it takes a beer or two to change that perception, or sometimes it takes not drinking a beer or two to change that perception. But
sometimes it takes smoking that stuff that's legal in Colorado.
In some countries and not in others, or in some states and not in others. Yeah. It just takes a little bit of just Just changing it just a little bit. Yeah, and then you realize, oh, wow, I don't have to get mad at my kids when they break something or spill. I can show them how to fix it. I can show them how to clean it up instead of freaking out on them. Because, dealing with kids, I have 3 kids. They will test your patience.
Yeah.
Very much. I mean,
I've raised 2 kids, and, thank God, they're wonderful. But it's a great learning experience.
It is.
But just remember,
you wonder why your parents are.
You're not a victim. You're not a victim unless you choose it.
Exactly.
And we can create any kind of life that we want. Now, for a lot of people, they say, oh, that's not possible. But if you really go back, step back, if you're not in a good relationship, well, either change it or get out of it. Mm-hmm. If you're not healthy, take the steps to get healthy. If you're not aware of these things, have the choice to become aware. If you have toxic people around you, change your friends. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of great people out there. And this show is a very, very major step in that process, because not only do you talk about the politics and the economics, but you have great products like Interfood that help people become healthier.
Yeah.
You have other products that are so good.
The X2, the new iodine. I mean, you taste just a drop of that, and you can actually, you put some foods in your mouth and you taste like, oh, they got energy. You feel
absolutely
it
know it's chi. When I'm in Southeast Asia, I study ancient Taoism, which is all about energy. Mm-hmm. It's all about energy, and there's different ways of looking at life that are, again, make life more fun. And that's why we're here, is to be joyful.
Yeah.
We're here to be joyful.
Hobbits. We're here to be hobbits. What did hobbits do? They grew food, they smoked their pipes, and they had a good time. Yeah. And then they raised more kids, and they did it. And then and then one of them grew up and destroyed evil. Is how it actually happened. But hey, George, it was great for coming. Thank you for coming to the studio. It was awesome to have you here. And I hope people can take this story here of what we were just talking about and do your own research. And my intention for this video is that, it get millions and millions of views, go out and live in the internet forever, and people start finding their own ways that they can change their life around them, whether it's positive or negative. If it's positive, make it more positive. If it's negative, start turning that wheel. Stop living in the same old prescribed reality that they tell you have to live in, that they've been telling you since you've been born. So it is hard to break out of it. It's not going to be an easy journey, but you have to start looking at your own, just use your own senses, and you'll know what's right and what's wrong. It's easy to do. And with that, that'll be the end of our show tonight, not our program. And we hope you join us next time, 7 p.m. Central. It's the InfoWars Nightly News. Remember, if you want to become a member, you can go to prisonplanet.tv and you can use your username and password. You can share it with up to 11 people. That's synergy right there. You could be a cog and helping 10 other people, 10 of your friends, help wake them up. And then they will wake up other people in turns. And it'll be a beautiful blossoming of truth and forgiveness and freedom and happiness and fun. And that, at the end, that's all you're going to have is the memories that you make. And with that, we'll bid you good night.
Celebrate the spirit of freedom and liberty upon which our nation was founded at InfoWarsShop.com. Molon Lave is ancient Greek for come and take it. This popular design combines both classic Greek Spartan imagery with modern M16 assault rifles. Now available in women's tees and proudly made in the USA. And now you can protect yourself from corrupt cops with the InfoWars dash cam. It's your car's black box that records all that the driver sees and hears. And introducing the Block It Pocket. It renders your phone undetectable while protecting your private data and your health. Or take back your privacy and protect your personal information by getting your very own Detractor cell phone pouch. So get incredibly high-quality, freedom-based products and help fund the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.
You are watching the InfoWars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. Members can share their passcodes with up to 11 other people, and your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.